Should we go for it?
Okay, so here we are, Friday, last day of IATEFL 2026 in sunny Brighton.
Yep.
How was it for you?
Knackering. It's still the same answer. It's been great. I mean, it's quite exhausting doing the full kind of 5 days when you're here. And I've been trying to go to sort of 5-6 sessions every day. And I've seen some really good things, seen a couple of slightly less good things, come away with a lot of thoughts about things, and it's always interesting, I think, with IATEFL. I guess everyone must feel it. It's like a kind of bellwether of what everyone's thinking about and talking about. And so you get a sense of what the kind of broad themes are within English language teaching at the moment.
Absolutely. Obviously, there's the whole AI thing going on at the moment, and I was surprised. I thought I would see more AI here.
Wow.
I went to one session, which is why coursebook writers shouldn't worry too much about AI. And then the next session was
I admire their optimism.
How to write a coursebook with AI. Yeah, so you've got these two opposite ends of the spectrum going on.
I think my concern with a lot of the AI talks is we're still at that kind of kind of stage of the hype cycle where people are going to go, it's amazing, look, you press this button and all these lessons come pouring out and you can just teach forever with it. And I think we really need to be having a more critical discussion about AI. And even where I have heard sort of the occasional critical thing, it's like, well, of course we have to be careful with it because sometimes it hallucinates, but look at the great things we can do. So it's still kind of boosterism.
Still on the crest of the wave.
Yeah.
I think Nikki Hockley's session made a really good point, is what are we talking about when we talk about AI?
Yeah.
Because it's not
it's not one single thing.
You know, and interestingly, she talked about, the politics and the kind of finance and all of these things that are going on behind the scenes that make it what it is.
Yeah.
There's a title for a monograph, Hugh. What I'm talking about when I talk about AI.
Did you feel there were any other kind of main themes running through?
I think kind of generally well-being.
Yeah,
and,
I've been thinking about that as well.
Voices from difficult places.
Yeah, there's a lot of that this time, And I think there's also just a lot of how teachers deal with conflict in the classroom, the fact we're not trained to deal with conflict, how you mediate between... Well, I saw a Polish teacher do a talk, and she was saying, compared to 10 years ago, what's happening in the classrooms now with her teenagers is like a different world. So she's getting boys who are very radicalised, girls who are reacting very negatively to it. And 10 years ago, there might have been the occasional crappy sexist joke, but there wasn't this kind of extreme polarisation of opinions that you had to mediate in the classroom.
Yeah, well, I think last time I saw you speak was in Poland.
Yeah.
And you were talking about suddenly finding yourself in a position at a certain point in time a couple of years ago where you've got Russians and Ukrainians in the same class, and what do you do with that?
Yeah, there was a self-selection went on there, essentially, shall we say. Yeah, well, I missed Laura's. What was she saying?
Well, one of the things that she said that really struck me, it was 5 things I wish I'd known when I started teaching. And it was, I wish I'd realised that teaching language wasn't just about teaching the language.
Yeah.
So it was about the people in the room.
Yeah, I think the reason there's that well-being focus is because it's kind of twofold. I think a lot of students are coming to class these days with a lot of kind of surplus electricity in their heads, and as a result I think a lot of teachers are feeling a bit more burned out than maybe they used to, a bit more drained by it, because when you're dealing with all that in the classroom it takes it out of you as a human. And so you've got teachers having to worry about the well-being of their students, but who's worrying about the well-being of the teachers?
Burnout was one of her other themes this morning.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sarah Mercer talked a lot about that.
She cited Sarah.
Predictions for ELT?
Yeah.
I think we're still seeing a kind of move towards greater recognition of diversity in terms of teaching, in terms of non-native speakerism, kind of countering native speakerism, Englishes, much more recognition of variety of accents, much more talk about inclusion and the importance of inclusion and the problem of kind of bias and invisible people in your classes. There's definitely a lot more of that. I think the AI thing will become a real problem because the teachers and the writers who are imagining that it's not coming for them are dreaming, because it's already coming. I was talking to a guy who'd been working in China. He was an American guy. And he said, now, having worked in East Asia and seen how AI is just like infiltrated into every aspect of the school system, you're deluded if you think they're not coming for your jobs at some point. And, you know, having been made redundant from a university that said, why should we employ you when we can get someone to do what you can do for half the price? It's like, well, they can't, but obviously you're looking to save money. And I think there will be lots of schools and centres that kind of go, well, we just have some virtual teachers and we get rid of the, you know, the troublesome people in the class who want to unionise. That'll be a real issue.
For me, that's been the elephant in the room when people talk about AI, because all the teachers are talking about AI from a kind of like a quality perspective.
Yeah, but what do the people who own the companies want?
Exactly.
They want to automate
it's about
everything.
the bottom
essentially.
line.
Yeah, of course it is. And I think that will become an issue. I think you're going to see more churn in publishing. I think it's going to get harder for publishers. There's already quite a lot of that.
Yeah.
Beyond that, I think we're still moving towards a space where the whole kind of old PPP, English file, headway kind of model is slowly starting to creak into old age a bit, and it's becoming less tenable, although I know there's loads of it out there still. There's definitely more of a move towards, like Alan was saying, student voices and listening to the students and helping students say what they're trying to say and recognising that they're bringing their lives with them rather than just expecting them to produce the language that you've kind of put into them.
Emergent perspectives as well as emergent language.
Yeah, exactly. Any other predictions?
I mean, I've been following the whole management track through the conference, which has been focused on change. And for me, the kind of space we're in at the moment was summed up when on the way down here last Sunday, I picked up Saturday's newspaper to read. And the front page said, Straits of Hormuz open. By the time I was reading it 24 hours later, they were closed again. And I think that kind of summed it all up for me.
I know. It's very, very difficult to know what the hell's going to happen next week. Oh.